After a treasure hunt with your friends, you make it to the treasure. But instead of the wealth you were told about, it was a note congratulating you on your journey, and that the real treasure was the friends you made on the way. The only problem is that all your friends died getting you this far. Well, Laura coughed up blood, craning her head with all her might. What does it say? I stared at the parchment, having just completed reading it myself. Is it another clue? Or are we done? She continued, wiping a bit of blood from her chin. No, we're done, I said stoically. Ah, she sighed, relieved. And how much fortune are we talking? What does the note say? Greetings, travelers. Congratulations on getting to the treasure. I hope you're more relieved than disappointed at its contents. It says, Greetings, travelers. Congratulations on getting the treasure. It must have been a difficult journey, I began. Huh, that's what your mother said, huh? Funny how it comes back to the difficulty of it, but with the money, we'll be able to pay for her treatment. So with our difficulty comes her ease. Laura nodded. I swallowed hard. My throat began to itch as tears threatened to flow down my face. You have fought through thick and thin. In the end, you have gained one of the most important and valuable things of all, the wealth of knowledge, and there is nothing comparable to that. It continues with, not only will you have an enormous fortune, but also get to enjoy the wealth of knowledge and experiences you got on the way. I said, my voice slowly becoming quieter the more I read. Huh! Laura coughed up more blood, her face pale and in pain. I'm sure you'll spend a lot of the wealth trying to forget this whole deal. This guy really is funny. Though, thinking about it, I'm sure Greg would say the same thing if he was with us today. It's a shame what happened at the. She coughed another wad of blood up and laid back, signaling with a finger that I should continue. And so, dear travelers, I encourage you to take that wealth and continue your life with it. For no matter the amount of wealth you have, I guarantee you that your last memories will be about the ones you love and spend time with. Cherish them, as they are the most important thing in this life. Your enigmatic friend, the guide. I looked down at Laura. It seemed she was taking her final breath. It wasn't even worth coming up with a lie when she looked ready to pass. Well, she whispered hoarsely, how much is the fortune worth? What did we earn here? My heart became tight. I didn't know what to say. I wrung the paper in my hand, tearing it a bit as I thought rapidly for something to appease her in her final moments. It's something that will last me my entire life, I said, sincerely. That's g-. She didn't open her eyes, only took one final breath to say, I wish I could spend it with you. With her passing, I stood up and looked at the horizon spanning miles below me. All of the land that we trekked to get here. All of my closest friends were dead. The only solace I could take was that no one was going to be as disappointed as I was to discover that all their sacrifices were in vain. I gripped the parchment tightly and took a few steps forward, looking down more steeply. Keeping to my promise, I held on to the treasure that would last me for the rest of my life, and jumped. This story was written by Nazer the Laser. Our next story was written by Ion Prize. Tears welled up in my eyes as I stared at the crumpled piece of paper in my hand. Congratulations, it read. You found the treasure. It might not be exactly what you expected when you first started out, though. Throughout your journey, you've no doubt learned quite a few lessons. You've faced many trials and hardships, but in the end, you overcame them all through the power of teamwork. And that, dear adventurer, is the real treasure. The friends you've made along the way. You don't need gold or rubies to show you what's really important. You've learned that for yourself. I truly hope that this has been a memorable and valuable experience for you, and I wish you luck in all your future travels. Best wishes, Ichabod Alexander. The tears finally overflowed and spilled out, flowing freely down my cheeks. I made no attempt to wipe them away as I let my gaze travel up from the sheet of paper and settle on the huge, ornate treasure chest in which I had found it. Even the box's gold lining, I now saw, was fake. The gold leaf had peeled away in some spots, revealing the iron underneath. The whole thing was a mockery. I glanced to my left, where the fresh body of Billy lay on the cold, hard ground, a poison arrow sprouting from his shoulder. He had made it just long enough to see the treasure chest, and then he had collapsed and died on the spot. I touched the wooden bracelet on my wrist. Xavier had given it to me as he died from a spear in his chest, making me promise to give it to his wife back home, along with his share of the treasure. He had been the first to go. We hadn't been expecting this journey to be so horrific, so filled with death, but we had pressed on, certain that the treasure would be worth it for those who survived. And this was it. This was what all my friends had died for. A crumpled piece of paper extolling the virtues of friendship. I was almost glad Billy hadn't survived long enough to see the fruits of our labor. I whirled around, suddenly coming to a decision in my mind. Billy would be all right here. This was a fine tomb for him, and I was fairly certain no one would ever disturb his body. Besides, he wouldn't have wanted to present any hindrance to what I was about to do. I drew my sword from its scabbard as I marched back out into the maze. All its traps and hazards couldn't stop me now. I was on a new mission, and this time, it really would be worth dying for. I was going to find Ichabod Alexander and teach him the true meaning of friendship. Thank you for listening.